Hey, what's up? My name's Max, and I'm 12 years old now. You can call me Youngblood if you want. Me and my crew live in the Czech Republic, and let me tell you, it gets chilly here. But anyway, I want to share a super cool story with you guys about Atlantis and this awesome dude named Apollo who's a god and all that. So sit back and relax, so let's jump into it and get it done. Once upon a time, the continent of Atlantis had a magnificent civilization that existed for a whopping 10 million years. Throughout its history, many different civilizations came and went. I'm going to chat about the most amazing one today, the Apollo era. This period was 10,000 years ago, and it was referred to as the Apollo era because the god Apollo had incarnated on Earth at the same time to teach the Fa, just like how in this age Shakyamuni spread the Fa. God Apollo was a terrific leader, skilled in battle, and obeyed the will of heaven. He managed to defeat all the heathen tribes and unite the nation, becoming the first pope. The entire population of Atlantis believed in and followed God Apollo, who had come to spread the Tao. What is Tao? Well, it's a road to God. Well, this is what it say online. Back in the day when Apollo founded his dynasty, he made a big move. He merged religion and politics, replacing political power with faith. And let me tell you, it was epic. The dynasty lasted for 20 generations of kings, with each pope known as the son of Apollo, and born from a godly bloodline. Their science was totally different from what we know today. They studied the human body, digging deep into the connection between heaven and humanity, and they spread the word about their divine culture. So, let's get into it a bit more. I'm going to give you the lowdown on what life was like during the Apollo era. Their ethnic group was the Anaye. Let me tell you about the Anaye, the ethnic group of the god's bloodline. They spoke ancient Sanskrit and looked like white Westerners with flax brown or light golden hair. The dudes were strong and handsome, while the ladies were beautiful and dignified. They rocked white and yellow robes, and their national flower was the walnut flower. Their city was lit, with architecture like ancient Western style, and they built a palace with ash-gray-colored stone. The palace walls had epic legends, stories, and heroes from way back in the day engraved on them. Each area had a 6-square-shaped tower, as tall as 328 feet, for cultivating and holding grand religious ceremonies. The capital had a landmark building twice as high, reaching 656 feet. The Apollo era was the peak of their divinely imparted civilization, and emissaries from all over came to Atlantis to learn their advanced technology. Merchants would bring back the finest handiwork, fabrics, medical tech, medicine, plants, animals, and more. But get this, the plants and animals they brought back would only survive for one generation because other countries didn't have the divine blessings, special soil, and environment that Atlantis had. Yo, check this out. Back in the day when Apollo was running things, their military was seriously next level. They were like unbeatable, bro. Whenever they had to fight some rebels or heretics, they had a super powerful monk with awesome fire powers who would first take out any evil entities in other dimensions that were causing the conflict. Then, they would mess with the enemy's heads and make them freeze up with fear. I am sure you asking, what is fire powers? Well, it's a kind of power. You can say magic. Well, it's hard to really explain it, cause it's more than one thing. Let's just say magic. But that's not all. They would also summon divine animals like fire-breathing dragons to mess up the enemy's bodies in other dimensions, making them totally unable to fight in this dimension. And then the Holy Knights would come in and command their soldiers to finish off the enemy forces. They even had warships that would sail around to any continent they wanted, and everyone just straight up respected them. Apollo's army was no joke. Back in the Apollo era, the economies of all dynasties had a massive impact on other continents. And let me tell you, everything was huge and amazing. Thanks to their divine civilization, their tech, plants and animals were all superpowered. Their wheat and dates were massive, and even their potatoes weighed in at 4-5 kg. Their horses were twice as big as today's, and cows weighed 2 tons. And let's not forget their silk fabrics, soft, gorgeous, and in all kinds of fancy colors and patterns. Their crafts were top-notch, and all their clothes were priceless family treasures. It was like living in a world of super-sized, super-luxurious everything. In the Apollo era, the medicine game was on point. These cultivators whipped up a medicine that could cure all kinds of tough cases, and folks from all over the world were lining up to get their hands on it. And let me tell you, Atlantis had some seriously high moral standards. The people were all about that harmony, thanks to their religion. Since everyone was in on it, they treated each other like family. Sharing was caring, and nobody was all about hoarding the good stuff for themselves. Selflessness was the name of the game, bro. In the Apollo era, trade was booming. They had a mega-huge merchant ship that sailed all around the world with its own Holy Navy protection squad. They weren't just doing regular business, though. They also traded one type of item for another, and it was working out great. They brought back a ton of riches to share with everyone and make the whole society better off. How cool is that? In the days of Apollo, Atlantis had a strict view on marriage. They preferred to keep their bloodline pure and looked down upon marrying people from other nations. Only aristocrats had the power to permit those of lower social status to marry. Women in Atlantis were highly educated and refined, with a focus on strengthening their wisdom and moral values. They were considered ideal candidates for marriage to imperial families in other countries. When a baby was born, a cultivator would examine the child's predetermined path and make preparations for the baby's life, ensuring that the child's innate skills were nurtured for them to grow into useful members of society. Higher-level religious schools studied ancient books containing high-level secrets related to far abilities and cultivation methods. Ordinary people were prohibited from accessing these texts, as their life force would be instantly depleted, making it impossible to survive for more than 7 days. To succeed in their studies, one must be a guardian of the truth and an emissary of the divine in the human world. History is like a show. We're all just actors, playing our part. The music's sweet, but every show must end, and so did the glorious Apollo era. In the final act, crooked religious politicians twisted the teachings for their own gain. The corruption of their faith led to the Atlanteans' downfall. The divine struck back and sent a giant flood and earthquake that sunk the entire continent. Their once magnificent civilization now buried deep in the ocean. It's a lesson we've seen over and over. The good times, the bad times, they all pass by like smoke in the wind.